So I keep trying to make this post as short as I can, and it just gets longer and longer. But here's the thing. Everybody noticed Ryan wasn't there. As soon as I started thinking about it, whether it was strategy or not, is that it reminded me of the duplicity and the DARVO that I had experienced at the end of my own relationship. And this is how messed up it is that he's not there. Because, first of all, we have him like 2 weeks ago trying to tell he posted that article about he wished he had been more mad. He didn't go hard enough for his wife, right? So why aren't you there today? Why aren't you there today? And the duplicity and the DARVO of it all, that he and Blake wanted us to believe Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath are so bad and so terrible that they're predators. They have used the word predator for Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath. And the reason why that brings me back to the duplicity and the DARVO that I experienced is because, first of all, we're going to start with the controlling aspect. My ex was so controlling that he controlled the bills, the money, everything. It didn't matter what it was in our lives. It was like the longer our relationship lasted, the fewer and fewer things I was allowed to do. I couldn't handle the money. I couldn't pay the bills. I couldn't choose what we wanted to eat. I couldn't cook. I couldn't make the coffee. Like, it was just like every single day, one more thing got taken off the list. And it wasn't because I wanted them off the list. It was because he needed to be in control. At some point, I realized I had lost another 25 pounds without even trying. I was like, damn, I haven't had fries in so long. I got home from work early one day and I realized, like, I haven't had fries in forever and nobody's home and nobody's going to be home for like a few hours. So I jumped up and I raced out to get French fries and I got a milkshake and I came home and I sat down and I didn't even, like, I barely started eating it and I was so excited and I was like, these tastes, I didn't even get to finish the thought. The window was open behind me. I just heard the wind, like, whoosh, like the front door had just opened. My gut fell into my knees so fast because I knew he got home early. All of a sudden I was like, and I was trying to think, like, where do I hide these? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, they're fries. Like, he probably already smells them. And immediately I realized, like, I'm not cut out for the criminal life. Like, I can't steal a car. I can't rob a bank. Like, embezzle. I would be ugly snot crying over any of those things. If anybody even tried to implicate me in that kind of a thing, I would lose it, right? And it was just like, I don't know how high crime criminals do it. Like, they have no remorse, no fear, no what if. Meanwhile, I'm literally like, where do I hide the fries? But that was the beginning of me realizing, like, things weren't right between us because I was in such denial and I did everything wrong. I was in such a trauma brain that everything I shouldn't have done is exactly what I did. You're stupid when you're in your trauma brain, really, honestly. So, like, all of the scary movies when victims do things that are like, why did you do that? It's because you can't think straight. You can't make a logical decision. Your brain, you self-destruct almost immediately. So there was a part of me that was thinking that the original logical, diplomatic, professional, compassionate person that I had originally been dealing with was either still there or at least existed, right? When I had a growing list of professionals that were like, you can't not report this. This has to be reported. You have to report this. And I just was like, there's just too many people with too many letters after their name that are telling me that I have to do this. So I was like, fine, I have to file this report. Part of it was because I was so scared. I was walking on eggshells even when he was gone. And I just was like, this is about me and my safety. I have to do this. Like, I have to stop doubting myself. I went to do it. But before I did, like an idiot, again, thinking, because part of me thought if I tell him, maybe that's enough of a warning to him. He'll stop doing the things that are freaking me out, because hearing a zipper hit the dryer was making me jump to the point that I would wake up from a dead sleep. I was so terrified of all of these little things. So I figured maybe this is a warning enough that he'll just stop it. And like, even though I'll still pursue the RO, this will put an end to all of the other things that are happening. But he was my boss in my other job. He knew my schedule. Me being as dumb and stupid as I was in my trauma brain, he went to the court because he knew I wasn't going to be able to do it before him. He filed the restraining order against me. When you haven't done something, you don't think that this is the opportunity for DARVO to start. Because in my mind, I was thinking DARVO is like, I say something that he did, he tries to turn the table against something that I immediately said. I didn't even think of an RO being used as DARVO. It just didn't occur to me, but that's what happened. He knew my hopes and dreams, my goals of my 3, 5, and 10-year hopes, dreams, and goals. He wanted to destroy that. He knew that filing the RO would be a part of destroying all of that. So I had to report this to my boss. And then I also had a lawyer from the victims program at the time, and I had to talk with her about it. And then the officer who took my initial report, he was like, you need to call me when you get that paperwork, because I have to go over it with you to notify you how to follow whatever comes out of that RO. And I was fine. So I'm a crying, blubbering mess trying to explain to my boss about this. She just looks at me like I have a third eye growing out of my head. She's like, you're not the first person this has happened to. Abusive, manipulative people do this all the time. She's like, I've seen you. I know how you work. I know who you are. She's like, he's not going to be able to do anything. Like, it's fine. And I was like, I'm just so embarrassed. And like, also, I'm not the only one. I don't know. Trauma brain. All kinds of lies up there. When it finally got back, all 3 of them, without me saying anything, read the report, and they were like, this is unenforceable. And in fact, he's basically just proving how controlling he is. And I was like, what do you mean unenforceable? And they all explained it in different ways. But the cop was like, when you file an RO, you're basically trying to prove that the person you're filing this against is so dangerous and threatening. There should be no exceptions, that this person should always be away from you. The only time that there's like conditions is if you're parenting, because obviously you have to be in the same place or do the same things. There are exceptions. But he was like, that's not the situation. He was like, basically this order, he's even, without saying it directly, the only time that you're unsafe is when you're with him. And he's like, that's not enforceable, because the RO is about keeping you apart. If you're apart. So it was just, but that's the duplicity of the DARVO. Ryan not being there is essentially saying that Blake is safe around this so-called predator. If he were so afraid of Justin, he wouldn't let her be in the same room as her predator, as the predatory man who sexually harassed her, without his presence. If they were so fearful of him, where is that now? Why wasn't he there?